Alrighty, I'm going to take a look right now at a request from the Patreon channel, and the question is essentially, are we heading toward an ecological disaster? And let's just look at the likelihood of that. I mean, on some scale, it is happening, but let's just take a peek. And what we're talking about too is an ecological disaster that basically wipes out people or a good solid chunk of humans. But let's just see what we get. So our root card is the reverse Knight of Swords, and the main card is the Six of Swords. Now, the reverse Knight. So here we have a soldier, right? And this is like guardian defensive energy. When this thing turns upside down, it's basically like the guardian that doesn't know what a real threat is, so they kind of attack everything. Now, this right away would talk about some sort of military shit, right? And in the Six of Swords, so here we have again a soldier, but they're leaving the burning place and trying to go somewhere else. Right away, this would say that an ecological disaster would probably be from military activity. And I would guess this is maybe nuclear shit, but military for sure. So let's just see what's on either side of this. Cryptic enough is the Judgment card, and where does it go to the Magician? That's fascinating. Now, the Judgment card, especially if we're looking at some sort of a nuclear event or, some sort of, it could just be pollution. A lot of the readings have talked about that, how the oceans are being polluted, and to a large degree by military activity. But here, just because we've got the flames and this is like the Berserk Knight of Swords, I really feel like this is talking more about something explosion-y. I'm going to try to get this thing to sit straight. There we go. So the Judgment card, this is a final decision being made. Now, that could be the decision to launch a fucking nuclear missile. So what I want to look at here is to see if that's actually what we're looking at. And we get a Three of Cups. I don't think so. I mean, look, I don't think this is nuclear. Again, this is another reference to the water. And the thing that's really sticking out to me as I look at it is the water that is being poured over the head of the person in this card. So I think the ecological disaster comes from military activity, but it poisons our water. And as this moves forward, we have the soldier in the Six of Swords, and they're leaving the burning city. And as they move forward, they end up at the Magician. Now, what I'm guessing that that's referring to is sort of forcing humanity to solve some of the problems or fucking die, right? I mean, the Magician is all of these different abilities being on display. And that would make sense if the water supply is poisoned or if there's a nuclear disaster or whatever, that we would kind of be forced to use all of our skills just to survive. Let's just see, like, whatever this is showing. Let's see if we can get a timeline on this, especially when we look at the Judgment card, because the Judgment card really is talking about kind of a specific event, a watershed moment, as they would say. So, what do we get as far as a timeline on what this is showing? and it is a 5 of cups. Now, as far as the way that I do timelines, unless there's something in the card that specifically shows an event, then the major arcana cards are longer periods of time, and the minor arcana cards are shorter periods of time. Now, I would hope that this is not talking about 5 months, but this is 5 short units of measure. Maybe it's 5 years. Maybe it is 5 months. But at any rate, it's not a fucking eon. It's not an era, right? This is a relatively short amount of time. Now, let's just see if we can find something out about, boy, the number of people that are affected, that are greatly affected, potentially killed. But let's just see if we can find some sort of magnitude. And we get the Queen of Cups and the Seven of Swords. So the Queen of Cups, again, we're looking at the water. I'm going to collect all of these for the moment and bring them over to the side. Now, in the Queen of Cups, you can see how carefully she's treating this water. And she's catching that single drop in her hand, right? And it really is all about devotion and care. And here, that's moving directly toward a Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is pressure to do something that you might not be ready to do. The way that I'm going to translate these two as far as magnitude would be anyone who needs water. And that's literally everybody, right? So as far as magnitude, that would be a fucking big one. Now, we have a card that just spit out onto the ground. And let's take a peek at what we get here. And another Cups card. So it's the Seven of Cups reversed. So the Seven of Cups is artistic expression. It is, I mean, there's a certain amount of fantasy and imagination that is involved in the Seven of Cups. In the Seven of Cups reversed, this is looking at something very logistically nuts and bolts, like there's no room for fantasy at this point. And I think we need to look at our water supply really, really closely, because the tarot has been showing this for a while, that the real danger that is being posed to people, at least from our own doing, is to our water. And the readings have also shown that the person that controls the water, or the people that control the water, controls the fucking world, right? So nuts and bolts sort of practical approach here is going to be necessary, but we might be looking at water conservation, looking at this. If you might want to find a way to filter your water or to get some sort of thing like that, let's just see if we can find out the nature of the pollution, right? Because if this is radioactive, then there's no filter that I'm aware of that can filter out, sort of radioactive shit in your water. Although I guess you could look to Fukushima and see if that is true. Well, shit, they're releasing that stuff back into the ocean, all of that radioactive water. So that might lead into this reading, I guess. But let's see if we can find the nature of the pollution in the water. And what comes out is the moon. And the star. Okay. So the star has shown up a few times in these readings recently, and I've been taking that to mean a flood. Geez. Now, the interesting thing about this, the star and the moon, both of these are not on Earth. these are both celestial objects. So maybe the actual pollution comes from fucking space. Like some sort of meteor that comes down or something, and then it fucking pollutes our water, like some radioactive or poisonous meteor. That's very strange. I mean, as I continue to look at this card, that is really what I'm taking out of this. That the star and the moon would show maybe the pollution actually comes from not Earth. Now, the rest of the reading has implied that it has to do with military action. So, uh, I guess I just want to look and see if this is our military, or an earthly military. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is like some sort of fucking alien military that pollutes our water. But let's see if the military action that causes this to happen is terrestrial. And what we get is the High Priestess. And if there is a non-answer, it's the High Priestess, because the High Priestess is saying that it's hidden, right? Geez. I guess, boy. Let's look a little closer at this High Priestess and sort of see what's coming out. Now, this is funny. You can see that the nails down here, the nails are painted. And this only means anything to me, right? But I'm the reader, so I guess. But earlier today, I was watching Deep Space Nine, and the Ferengi, Quark was in there. It was the episode where Quark has to become a woman for this one episode to convince someone of something, whatever. But I noticed how the Ferengi's fingernails are all dark. They're painted like this. I mean, I think that's what they naturally look like for Ferengi. But to me, this is kind of a nod toward Alien. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Let's just see. Whoop. We'll collect these. Is there anything that we can do to keep this from happening? And I just mean regular people, right? And the Four of Cups would say probably no. Here we have someone dropping a fucking cup into the ocean. So maybe try not to do things that pollute the water, I guess. Or stock up on wine, fuck, I don't know. We do have the sailboat back here, so maybe this is a nod to not using the various chemical propelled, craft. Maybe a sailboat is the way to go, like Queen Greta, right? Riding around on her sailboat. So this would have a minimal impact unless every person on Earth was doing it. So I guess if you want to act locally and think globally, then maybe try not to use a boat, I guess, on the water. Try not to do things that pollute the water. So if you are taking a boat on the water, try to make sure that it isn't powered by gasoline or some shit like that, right? I guess. So I would love to hear what you think about this. That is what we have here. If you do want to request a topic, hit up the Patreon page for as little as $5 a month, and I will do whatever readings you want to look at. That's what we have for now, and peace.